As you already know, I'm a huge Auburn fan. I've been living in Auburn for about 19 years. This is my room. I have my Cam Newton poster and my Auburn flag. So I am a huge supporter of Auburn football. But when I was in high school, I was more of the band girl. I was in concert band, marching band for about 6, 7 years, and I twirled for the marching band. So you can say I was the band geek. And everybody can remember back in high school of how everyone was in a certain clique. It was the cheerleaders, it was the jocks, it was the band geeks, it was the drama queens and kings. Everybody remember those cliques. And everybody also remembers the football players. I mean, the football players were the top guys in high school. And I remember back when I was in high school that I kind of realized that our football players were kind of pampered and they kind of got their way. And as I started going into college, I started to really think, do people really want their children to look up to athletes? Do they believe that athletes are good role models? And I do believe that there are a few things that athletes encourage younger children to do that make them great role models. And one of them is the confidence level. A lot of children nowadays feel like they have to do certain things to be cool, or they have to feel like they have to do crazy things, rebel and just do all crazy things to be cool. And I think athletes really show children that, if I'm able to go out here and work hard, practice, and put my heart into this sport, then you can do it too. And I think it keeps a lot of kids out of trouble when they get involved in certain sports. Another one is physical activity. Obesity has really been growing in the younger generations, and I feel like a lot of athletes encourage children to go out there and be more physical and be more active. And when children go out there and they're exercising, they're getting their energy out, they're eating right, yes, I believe that helps a lot of younger children to be more healthy. Another one is work ethic. Athletes spend a lot of their time practicing or going to work out and work their bodies out, or looking at the game trying to get better in their position. I mean, athletes spend a lot of their time concentrating on that sport. And so I feel like a lot of kids will have a lot better work ethic and learn to have a better work ethic. And the last one that is really important to me is education. I remember that a lot of football players weren't even allowed to touch that field if they had a C in a certain class. And it really shows that grades and education come first. No matter what sport you're doing, you can't forget about your education. And I feel like that's a really great encouragement that they can give kids. And you have to think about it. If you have no education, you can't get drafted, or you can't make great money and get there if you don't have the education to get into a good school. So I feel like education is the most important thing that they can encourage kids to do when it comes to sports. But there are also many other opinions out there that they feel like athletes aren't really good role models. Actually, that they are bad role models. And I believe we should stop worshiping certain athletes until they are on the field. If you realize that there are many athletes out there, they're star athletes for a reason. They have a great talent. But when it comes to their personal lives, it's not that great. The effort that they put into being great at this football, or the work ethic that they put into being a great baseball player or a basketball player, they can't really put that into their grades or their personal life, or when it comes to challenging personal things. I don't think they really understand how to challenge those things. And I read an article by Stephen Ortiz, a sociology professor at Oregon State, and he's the author of several published studies on athletes' bad behavior. And he said this: spoiled athlete syndrome begins early in sports socialization. From the time they get picked out of a lineup because of their exceptional athletic ability, they've been pampered and catered to by coaches, classmates, teammates, family members, and partners. As they get older, this becomes a pattern. Because they're spoiled, they feel they aren't accountable for their behaviors off the field. They're so used to people looking the other way. And I can truly say that I can agree with that, because I will always remember when I was in high school, this boy came to me. He was on the football team. I was in band. I was a majorette. And he came to me and said, I'm up here and you're down here. Because he was a football player and I was in band. And I remember I was so sickened by that comment, and that I could feel like I could never really look at a football player the same way, because I feel like that wasn't right of him to say that to me. But yet he's been pampered and, getting all this great talk from the coaches and from the teachers and from the classmates. So he felt like he could say that to me. He really felt that he was more important than me and better than me because he was a football player and I wasn't out there throwing a football. And I feel like that is not a great role model. I feel like that is actually a very disgusting, small-minded person. And I think that that's not a great person for a younger child to look up to. I believe that these athletes need to start realizing that just because that you go out and you throw a football or you get a touchdown or anything of that sort does not make you better than anybody. There are children out there that can play an instrument. There are children out there that are great in drama and in skits and in plays. There are children out there that are great artists and that can draw a painting in 2 days or less and can do so much more things other than throwing a football. I think that that's what's coming down to our society nowadays, that just because you're not part of a sport does not mean you're not important. There are many athletes out there that have been given the slap on the hand for what they've done, and I think that's also wrong. They needed to own up to their responsibilities and claim that they're wrong. So that's my argument. Athletes need to kind of stop putting themselves on a high pedestal, and not just the athletes, but children, parents, teachers, students. They need to understand that just because you're not an athlete, that does not make you important. And people need to realize to stop putting them on this high pedestal. I think it just comes down to how this person is, how this athlete is. And that's what makes them a great athlete, not just on the field, but also as a person.